Hey everyone, What If Fan here, bringing you another exciting part of What If Reborn as a Goku clone. You can find the fanfic title and the original author's name on my Patreon page. Make sure to check it out and show them some love. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Quick update. What If sign-in system in High School DxD will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these three fanfics. What if Gacha system in Modern Family World? What if Natsu has dual elements? What if Transmigrated in One Piece and becoming a Marine? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. Alright, let's jump into it. Chapter 10. He could feel as Purunga left, returning to his slumber. And the ever-growing power of Kakarot was brighter to his senses than the very three suns that orbited the planet. Such a powerful young lad he was, with an almost frightening will behind him. If he was so inclined, the boy could have become a scourge on the universe more deadly than the one he called Frisia himself. As it was, while the boy doubted himself, he had been able to see his true nature as plain as day when he was unlocking his sleeping powers and sifting through his memories. The boy had a hero's heart. True, he was selfish, but many were. What was better, to be born pure and without evil, or to have evil within your very nature and overcome it? Kakarot was braver than he. Once upon a time, Guru, hundreds of years ago after the extinction of his race, whereupon he was the only survivor, had been consumed by despair and rage. Oh, how he had raged in those days! He was afraid that his darkness would poison his children, the new hope of his race, and so he had done what the boy knew as Kami had once done. He had split himself in two, clawing the dark emotions that festered within him out and forced them on his other half. Despite himself, Guru chuckled lightly as he recalled some of the memories he'd found within Kakarot's mind, memories of Guru himself. Evil half, eh? He mused. Truly, it wasn't that far from the truth. What he did to his other half Slug was a truly detestable act. And with them both weakened from the split, it had been a simple matter for Purunga to banish Slug from the planet. He had forced evil onto his other half and saved his race. And in the process, he let loose that evil on the galaxy itself. Guru perked up when he felt Nail's power spike and grow almost half again in strength, and then Kakarot's began to rapidly swell and spike massively. It must be due to those fruit, from the Tree of Might. He'd read about them once before in the Namekian Book of Legends. He'd been quite surprised to find they were real when sifting through Kakarot's memories and him deciding to wish for them when the god key he sought was confirmed out of his grasp through Purunga. With his sleeping power in the process of awakening, those fruit would be making his power and sleeping strength spike and grow tremendously. Good, that was very good. It took quite a lot out of him to unlock his sleeping power and coax it out of him. It had been the first time he'd used that ability in many years. Using it drained even more from the dwindling power keeping him alive. There was a reason he had not awoken Nail's sleeping power after all. A moment later, he felt Kakarot's presence up and shoot away from him home at a blinding speed. He was so fast even with his senses honed for over 1,000 years he could barely keep track of him. He heard the sound of the entrance door opening and closing, and moments later Nail was elevated up into the room carrying quite a few oddly orange and spiky-looking fruit between his arms. A gift? Guru asked, amused. Yes sir, Nail nodded, casting an almost odd glance down at the fruit within his arms, 11 of them in total if Guru was not wrong. These are amazing, just eating one of them and my power has grown drastically. I've never felt anything like it, Lord Guru. I would expect nothing less from the legendary Tree of Might, Guru hummed. What will you do with them? If you eat them all your power should grow quite nicely. Indeed, Nail agreed, but I think you should have them, Lord Guru. Your power is waning more and more each passing day. With these your power will be able to sustain you much more easily. Guru smiled. I thank you my child, he replied, and then shook his head, but it's better that you, our strongest warrior, eat them and become stronger. Nail's facial features tightened a bit. I'm afraid I must insist, Lord Guru, he replied, looking him straight in the eyes. If you will not eat at least a few of them, I will not either. Ever the stubborn one, young Nail, Guru huffed in amusement. He lifted one hand from the armrest of his chair and held it out towards Nail. Very well, if you will not budge, I will accept on the condition that you eat the majority of them, he relented. It was not that he wanted to die, it was just that his time had been approaching for a while now and he had accepted that, and when he died, he would take Slug with him to the afterlife. Thank you, Lord Guru. Nail bowed in gratefulness, as if it was Guru himself who had done him a great honor and not Nail being the honorable one as he always was. Nail made his way over and deposited 3 of the fruit into Guru's palm. Under Nail's watchful gaze, Guru lifted the fruit up to his mouth and easily fit all 3 into it at once and began crunching down on them. They were very sweet and juicy, and despite the fact that he only needed water to survive, they left a taste that he would not mind experiencing again. And as he swallowed, his eyes shot open wide. Power suffused his being. It was a fraction of the power he once wielded when he was whole, but he luxuriated in the feeling. That was not the source of his shock, no. It was the potent life force he felt coursing from his stomach up into his veins. Aches and pains from age dulled and disappeared, his muscles bulked and filled with strength, and before his very eyes his skin began to lighten and return to a more youthful state. Suddenly, he felt 1,000 years younger, he felt like he was once again in his prime. And for the first time in years, Guru pushed himself up from his seating position and stood on his legs. As he felt his youth return, he felt the power within him multiply. Lord Guru? Nail looked up at him wide-eyed. This changes things. Guru decided after a moment. Eat your fruit, Nail, he bid as he smiled down at his strongest son. Yes, Lord Guru. Nail grinned and did as he was told, beginning to chow down on the strange and mystical orange fruit one after another, his power growing and growing with each one. There was little time to waste when mere decades were the prelude to the destruction of their universe. As Nail ate, Guru lifted a hand to his face and pressed 2 fingers against his forehead and concentrated on the link he shared with all of his children on the planet of Namek. My children, this may be sudden, but won't you all come to meet me? Guru sent a telepathic message to all of them. There is something of great importance I would like your help with. It would be unbecoming to deposit all responsibility on young Kakarot when he now had the ability to help much more. And there was something he could do now that he was unable to accomplish before because of how feeble his body and power had become by time he had learned the ability. Guru reached up and grasped his own head, reaching deep into the depths of his ki and essence with his magic power, and he coaxed the sleeping power that had been building up within him bit by it for years. And when Nail was done eating, he would do the same for him. I awoke to my senses going haywire. What the fuck? I jerked up into a sitting position from where I lay on my bed. A mass gathering of powers had just suddenly began to rapidly spike upwards all of a sudden at insane speeds. What's wrong with you? Bulma, who was sitting on the bed nursing a cup of coffee, asked with a raised brow. I just sensed a crazy amount of power rising. I told her. The weird thing was, while I didn't recognize most of them, I did recognize the 2 that stood out the most, higher than all the others by quite a margin. It was Guru and Nail. And by God were they fucking massive in comparison to what they were when I left Guru's home behind. What the hell did they get up to when I left? Bulma went wide-eyed. Should we get out of here then? She panicked. No, it's fine, I waved her off. Either way it's still Guru, I know who they are. They aren't bad guys and they wouldn't be a threat to me even if they were. Compared to yesterday, my power is in a completely new league. I explained with a smile before reaching over to grab my scouter. I wanted to check at what kind of numbers they were sitting at for a solid understanding. 16,222. 32,443. 21,226. 47,387. 52,524. 42.126. 51,177. 24,972. 32,068. 38,299. 15,070. 11,630. 394,500. 43,800. 10,972. 13,243. 35,223. 32,900. 682,420. 701,234. 706,622. 10,000. 23,113,230. 28,933,296. There was a list of 100 battle powers in total that were read and scrolled through in just moments. Not a single one of them was below 10,000. Some were even approaching 1,000,000. But the two that stood out the most were obviously Nail and Guru's powers. They had both exceeded 20 million. Guru wasn't far off from 30 million. What the hell happened while I was asleep? While I'd been training to get a hold of my new strength, I'd felt both Guru and Nail's powers rising, but nothing like this. On top of that, it seemed every single Namekian on the planet had gathered together and all of their powers and exploded upwards. Had Guru freaking unlocked the potential of every single member of his race on the planet? That was absurd. Hell, would they even need my help now a year from now? If Frisia came down here and wasn't in his final form, he'd get killed instantly by Nail or Guru. Hell, some of the random powers I saw could gank him before he transformed if he appeared on Namek in his first form. Shit, I've really butterflied the shit out of canon now, haven't I? And he did it all while I was sleeping too, how crazy. A dainty finger flicked my nose, bringing me out of my thoughts, and I looked to see Bulma standing in front of me, clad in her grey panties and tank top, her arms crossed and glaring at me with those pretty blue eyes of hers. That reminds me, you dick, why the hell did you go ahead and summon the dragon already? She ground out. I wanted to see it as well. What's the point of me coming if you don't let me see the cool stuff? Oh right, that damn clone must have told her. And another thing, what's with all that weird fruit? She asked, pointing to the table where we had eaten our meals, where I had left the 10 spiky orange fruit of the Tree of Might. You didn't want to come, remember? I shrugged. Besides, it isn't like I wasn't thinking of you. Check this out. I reached out and gently grabbed her hand, then sliced one of my fingernails across skin on her hand lightly, drawing a small little cut. What the hell are you, you asshole? She hissed. She jerked her hand out of my grip and raised it to slap me before stopping and blinking. She brought her hand to her face and looked at the back of it, where not a single mark remained. What the fuck did you do, Buster? I wished for regeneration for the both of us. I smirked at her, crossing my arms across my chest smugly. Now you can survive and heal from pretty much anything besides having your entire body vaporized, and the best of it is it should keep you young forever. Huh, neat, Bulma blinked, before reaching up and cupping her breasts in her hands and juggling them a bit. Now that you mention it, I don't feel any pain in my back at all right now. With how big my tits have gotten, there's always been at least a small little ache. As for the fruit, I continued after admiring the contours of those amazingly shaped breasts, pointing over at them. They're fruit from the Tree of Might. Eating them will give you a massive power boost. Each one should give you roughly a boost of 20,000 in battle power. I ate a few last night and gave some to the Namekians for letting me use the Dragon Balls and doing me a big favor, and I kept those 10 for you so you could get strong easy yourself without having to do any training and nobody can basically hurt you. Wait, seriously? Bulma arched a brow at me, incredulous. 10 of them at 20,000 means 200,000 battle power, as in 133 times stronger than Raditz, who bitch slapped around Piccolo and Goku, the two strongest guys on Earth by far, just 2 months ago? Fayette's right. There was Smug, and then there was the level above it, which was probably what was plastered across my face right now. That's so sweet. Bulma squealed, throwing her arms around my neck and hugging me tight before pressing a large wet kiss right against my lips. So do I just eat them? Yep, have at them, they taste good, so they'll do for breakfast, I replied, gesturing to the fruit on the table. And as for the Namekian dragon, don't worry about it, I'll be able to show you him later. Sure, Bulma waved me off before hopping over to the table. It did amazing things to that pog-ass of hers. Bottoms up, she cheered as she grabbed one of the spiky orange fruit and took a massive bite out of it. As soon as she did, a massive blue aura burst into existence around her body and I felt her minuscule ki expand hundreds of times over in an instant, overtaking the power I felt from Tien, Yamcha, Krillin and such in split moments. Whoa! Bulma hollered, taking another bite and causing her power to expand again. This feels amazing. No wonder you meatheads love this so much. I snorted in amusement while idly grabbing the items being sent through the air by her blazing aura of power. Interesting, it seems that the fruit will unlock the key of those who have never even used it before when eaten. I observed. That was very good to know for later. You know, I'm stupidly strong now, I could totally beat those Scion guys coming to Earth myself, Bulma boasted from where I carried her bridal style as we blasted through the air at a stupidly fast speed towards where I felt the gathering of Namekians. But you take the freaking cake, honey. 107 million, are you kidding me? If you breathe the wrong way you're gonna wipe out a city or something, you freaking monster. She looked at me in disbelief over the scouter attached to her eye, displaying my battle power to her. I'm just awesome like that, baby. I replied easily with a shrug. You're bullshit, more like. She rolled her eyes. What were you making such a big deal out of this Frisia guy for? You said he was 120 million, right? Right now with that big muscle thing you can get even stronger, right? Aren't you way stronger than him now? Gimme back my time spent being worried and fretting over the guy when a month later you can smack him around like he owes you money. I'm just as surprised as you are. I retorted, and I freaking was. At this point, back when I made this plan, I was expecting to breach maybe 1 million at most by this point. Talk about shattering my own expectations. I don't even need to be a Super Saiyan and I could body Frisia. My plans have been sped along massively. I was honestly expecting to have to sit and let Tien or somebody blow holes in my stomach constantly for months on end to reach even a fifth as strong as I am right now. Honestly, it almost doesn't feel real. Rashi only had a battle power of 139 and he could blow up the moon with that Kamehameha of his. Bulma sighed. Now you're literally over 1 million times stronger than that. If I couldn't see it, I'd think it was just too stupid to believe. It wasn't much long later until we arrived at our destination. One of the islands below Guru's mountain, there was a mass of green-skinned humanoids all gathered together. And right in the middle of them all was a massive behemoth of a Namekian that stood as tall as 3 full-grown ones together. The robes he had been wearing had been replaced for a pair of baggy white pants the same as what Nail wore and an open vest that showed off a massive and powerfully muscled bulky chest and biceps as thick as my entire body. Guru was looking fucking swole as fuck. Geez, they really are an entire race of Piccolos. And they're all way stronger than he ever was. Bulma grimaced. Are you sure this is a good idea? Yeah, don't worry, I assured her with a smile. The Namekians are a peaceful race of kind people. Piccolo only went evil because of evil people back on Earth corrupting him. Well, if you say so, I'll believe you, I guess. Bulma nodded hesitantly, and then a moment later puffing her bountiful chest out proudly. Besides, even if they do get all murdery, you're stronger than them all put together, so you can just beat the crap out of them all. That too, I guess. I snorted. Moments later we touched down and I set Bulma on her feet. Been hitting the gym or something, Guru? I asked, raising an eyebrow at him, even as the numerous Namekians around us looked on in curiosity. Guru chuckled. Or something, my young friend, he replied warmly. He spread his arms wide and gestured to the gathered people. This is all thanks to you. It seems fruit from the tree of might contains very potent stores of life force, and eating just 3 of them was more than enough to return me to my prime and allow me to use my ability to awaken sleeping power much more freely. You're welcome, I guess? I replied. I wasn't sure how to respond other than that. I didn't expect this to happen either. But it is still a really pleasant surprise. That means a couple of them will restore Master Rashi's youth as well and probably increase the lifespan of any who eats them. Honestly, Namek has been nothing but good to me, so I'm very much happy to see Guru in such good health. Yes, I am most grateful, Guru nodded. His eyes moved to settle on Bulma at my side and he smiled gently down at her. Hello to you, to Miss Bulma, it's a pleasure to meet you. I know you have not had the best experiences with we Namekians due to the one known as King Piccolo, but I hope we may get along. I hope to establish a good relationship with you and your friends. Huh, weird that he knew her name. But then again, he did look through my memories, so it would be weird if he didn't know who she was, considering how important she was not just to me, but the whole canon plot entirely. Nice to meet you too, I guess. She waved up at him before sighing and slumping a bit. And it's fine, it looks like you aren't anything like that dick Piccolo. That is relieving to hear, Guru inclined his head. Still, if you will allow me to make recompense in place of the son of Katas, my once best friend, I can unlock any sleeping power you may have. It's fine, Bulma waved him off, relaxing and becoming much more casual with the giant Namekian. Besides, the only power I've got is the power I got from those fruit Kakarot here gave me earlier. I'm not exactly a trained fighter or anything like that. Just let him, I cut in, drawing her eyes to me. Everyone in the universe has some hidden potential. Doing this will bring that out and make your power stronger even if you don't have any specific special abilities. She raised an eyebrow at me before shaking her head. Fine. Bulma waved me off and held her arms out in a welcoming gesture to Guru. Alright big guy, have at it I guess. Alright then, brace yourself. Guru nodded. He reached down and placed his massive hand on her tiny in comparison head gently, and light rippled around his hand before traveling down Bulma's frame. WWOAH. Bulma screamed in shock as the same blue aura from earlier burst into existence around her with all the force of a typhoon. Some of the Namekians around me screamed in shock as they were blown backwards from the sheer explosive force of it. Bulma is a genius of the highest order, there is no denying it. And with her massively increased thought processing thanks to how massively her new power has surged explosively upwards within it. Little basic tricks with ki like firing blasts? She picked that up in 2 minutes at most, and she was already beginning to get the hang of floating after 15 minutes. Having her ki unlocked and her power being so massively increased from the get-go was the main reason behind it all, but for being human, a species that had no ingrained instinct to use ki like a Scion or Namekian made it an impressive feat in of itself. And already her potential had been fully unlocked. Apparently, with Guru in much better health and vastly superior strength now, he could make the time it took lessen drastically. It was mind-boggling to think that according to my scouter, Bulma had a battle power that put the canon Namek Saga Goku to shame, at least at the base. 14,840. It was ludicrous how utterly absurdly broken Guru's ability was to unlock sleeping power and potential. From what Guru explained, most are born with a set potential. It doesn't matter how strong they grow, because their set potential will be that set amount of potential stronger. Guru could, for many, bring out their full potential. They could still get stronger from there, but it would take a long time for their potential to grow back to its previous state. It made sense. And because of me feeding her those fruit from the Tree of Might, her base ability had increased massively, and as such, her potential that was as many times her current base ability, meant that the amount of strength she would gain would become that much larger. Still, it was absurd that Bulma went from a battle power of 12 to 14 million and strong enough to easily kill Frieza in any of his forms outside his final one. She had went from a weakling at the bottom of the barrel of the universe, to easily within the top 20 strongest beings currently alive within Universe 7. Still, while she was busy chatting up the Namekians and satiating her natural curiosity about how their species lived while pestering them into showing her basic key techniques, I took the time to take off into the air for a bit and flew off into the distance. With my speed, it was easy to get a few miles away within less than a minute. There was something I wanted to try. Something I was almost sure I could accomplish. Just moments after I touched down, a familiar massive form landed behind me. I looked over my shoulder to see the gigantic bulky form of Guru smiling down at me. "You followed me?" I asked. "Indeed," Guru nodded. "There can be only one reason why you would seek to get this far from everyone else now that your power has grown so massively, at least from what I can infer from the memories I saw yesterday." He pinned me with an intense stare. "You plan to ascend to the legendary form of your species," he stated. "You plan to try and become a Super Saiyan." "Yeah." I nodded, no point lying. Yesterday, it was only for a moment, but my aura had turned golden, and I felt my power multiply massively in that split moment before it died down. And over the course of the day yesterday up until I fell asleep, that golden light within me had grown and grown and grown to the point where just looking within myself felt like I was bathed in a world of golden light. It was easily at least 100 times the amount there was compared to yesterday, when for that moment where I was sure that I had ascended for that 1 second. "You should brace yourself, this might be rough," I warned him as I settled into my stance and drew upon my ki, powering up to my maximum, my crimson red aura bursting into existence around me like a roaring flame. "I expect so," Guru hummed. "It's part of the reason why I've come to keep an eye on you." I saw Guru lift a hand and conjure a barrier of ki around himself as the air began tremble, the ground beneath my feet began to buckle inwards, debris levitating into the air and the waters of the ocean surrounding the island we were on churned violently, quaking back and forth into massive waves. I looked deep inside myself, centered myself within that golden radiance and pulled with all my might. It slipped through my mental grasp. I tried again, to no avail. And again, and again. But no matter how I grasped at it, I couldn't keep a hold of it. Ages passed, it felt almost like hours really, and frustration began to build within me. The power comes in response to a need, not a desire. Use the pain of loss. Goku's voice floated through my mind and I ground my teeth. Shut the fuck up. I snarled mentally. Easy for him to fucking say, what the fuck did he know about loss? Boo-hoo, my best friend died. He's gonna be stuck in the afterlife getting free training from a god for a year before getting wished back. Get something perspective, you fucking tard. What the fuck has he ever truly lost? Grandpa? No, he fucking hasn't. He can go see Grandpa Gohan whenever he fucking wants. He fucking killed him too and he doesn't fucking know that, but I do. I fucking remember that night clearly. I got all his memories when I was given life, even the ones he can't remember or was consciously aware of. I remember the feeling of Grandpa's body going crunch beneath my foot and the feel of his blood soaking into my heel. Beyond that, nothing. He doesn't even remember our fucking parents, and he doesn't want to. He got lucky like that. They might already be fucking reincarnated right now. I get the memories without them ever being mine and the prospect that they may just already be gone for good, and even if not, they're not truly my parents, they're his. And the worst of it all is that he's the super variation. He will one day go the route of being a fucking retard that will put the very universe at risk. Oh, the erasure of the universe's not meeting the mortal level is not his fault, and him getting the tournament of power going was something that he should be praised for. But you know what shouldn't be praised yet fucking is every damn time? Him not taking fucking any of the fights seriously until the end. Holding back on his power, going easy on the other contestants of the other universes just so he can see what they're made of and put the entire universe at jeopardy. His sons, his wife, his newly born granddaughter. All of his friends and all the countless innocents. How many fucking times did he almost get kicked out of the battle arena during that tournament because he was holding back? It's his fucking fault. I have to fucking work myself into the ground, blow holes in my fucking self to get strong enough to make a difference because I can't leave it to fucking him and jeopardize everyone in the known universe just because he wants to hold back for a good fucking fight. Seriously. Fuck Son Goku. Something slipped into place, and my entire being erupted into gold shining light. A moment later, my vision returned and I found myself staring out of through a blinding golden aura while the sky above had gone pitch black as if Purunga had come to back out to play, thunder booming throughout the sky and lightning dancing through the clouds. And from the scouter over my right eye, a truly mind-boggling number was reflected back at me. 5,370,568,000. Chapter 11. Well, this has gone right out of hand. Elder Kai noted, a bead of sweat trailing down the side of his purple wrinkled skin. He leaned back in the chair he was sitting in, eyes locked on the broadcast screen hovering over the central table within the time nest. The feed showed a young man, a very familiar-looking young man, a blazing aura of golden power shaking the planet of Namek at the very seams that kept it together. His power is ridiculous. Trunks tapped his foot nervously, his arms crossed tightly over his chest. He's more than twice as powerful as Cell was when he returned after blowing himself up. It would be amazing to see a variation of Goku grow so powerful so quickly, if it wasn't horrifying and practically trivialize all the effort he and everyone else had went through to get even close to strong enough to stop that monster. There's nothing we can do about it sadly, Krenoa, the Supreme Kai of Time sighed, idly kicking her legs back and forth from where she sat on the table beside the scroll. The change to this timeline's history was so subtle I completely missed it, and it was a delayed effect too. The alterations have gone on too long for them to be reversed. She'd noticed there was a change in history and checked it out immediately. But, the change was so subtle she hadn't been able to find it at all. After all, it was just a simple idea planted within the head of a resident of that timeline that wouldn't take effect for years down the line. As much as it galled her, Krenoa had to give praise to whoever managed it. It was genius and nothing at all like the blunt hammer-like alterations that annoying Shru Tao and her magical DNA cocktail of a boy toy employed, and since the founding of Toki Toki City, none but them had the gall to try and forcefully alter the timeline to their benefit. It was almost frightening that a new enemy with these kind of inclinations may have appeared. And it also meant, all her free time may end up going down the drain once again. Well, this timeline is gonna go right off the rails. He's already strong enough that the only threat coming up anytime soon is Bu, and that should be over a decade away. Elder Kai shook his head. What was early Frisia compared to this variation of Goku? He wouldn't even need to transform to defeat him, really though. Where the heck did he find out about the Tree of Might? Tulse hasn't gone anywhere near Earth in that timeline, and honestly he probably never will now that he lost that seed of his and the fruit he was collecting. It's probably just something that was shown to him by whoever caused this in the first place, Trunks thought out loud. At the very least, he doesn't seem to be a bad guy. He's actively going out of his way to help other besides himself. He's kinda cute, in a rugged bad boy kinda way, Kranoa hummed, leaning over to eye his broadcasted image a bit. Think he has a girlfriend? You mean besides this one's mother of that timeline? Elder Kai jabbed a thumb towards Trunks, cackling in amusement. I was really hoping to forget that I saw that. Trunks groaned. This is a lot easier than I thought it would be. Bulma commented as she idly floated through the air. The fruit and the unlocking of your potential helped with that, Nail commented from where he stood below her. From what we've noticed, it seems your species has an innate talent for controlling ki. The problem most would run into as far as humans go is unlocking that ki, but you don't have to worry about that, nor do you have to worry about exhausting your ki anytime soon. You have more or less skipped over the parts that usually take you the longest to deal with. Bulma grinned. Score. Good to know, she flashed him a thumbs up. Really, as far as trying to show her his chops as a boyfriend, Kakarot was really going above and beyond. She should reward him. Maybe do something good for Guru as well, since she was apparently so strong now she could probably kill her old boyfriend by slapping him with her pinky. 14,840. Her strength had become absolutely mind-boggling. When her growth finally puttered out and Kakarot and Guru flew off somewhere to talk or something, she couldn't believe it. To think even Goku, who used to seem so godlike in strength compared to her, was now near infinitely weaker than her, it almost didn't seem real. But it was. She'd accidentally shot off a ki blast not long ago without much thought and accidentally destroyed a mountain. That was scary and amazing all at once. But she was used to rolling with the punches and adapting. She'd been doing so since a little monkey boy picked her up while she was in her car a decade ago and tossed her around like a feather, and then was barely even fazed by getting shot in the forehead. You know, your planet is nice, but there isn't much to do, is there? Not gonna it'd be a nice play for a little RNR and relax, but I'd go stir crazy after a little while. Bulma moved on with the conversation as she played around with her nifty new powers. She idly wondered how long it would take Kakarot to teach her that clone thing of Tien's, the multiform was it? You should totally stop by Earth sometime, there's so much more to do. Like my dad loves golf, I think you'd like it, Tamori. She smiled down at the other Namekian who was coaching her on using her ki, a nice old elder Namekian guy. Really, everyone was so nice here. She had to marvel at the kind of assholes Piccolo must have been around when he arrived on Earth to end up the way he did if he was originally supposed to be like these guys. Golf? I have never heard of it, but I'd be happy to partake in it if it is as fun as you say it is, Mori chuckled. If what Lord Guru wants to speak your young friend about is acceptable, it will be nice to visit Earth at the very least and catch up with Dend. What do you mean? Who's Dend? Bulma asked. Mori hummed, turning his head to look around. A moment later, he rose his finger and pointed at a gathering of young Namekian children, specifically the shortest of them all. That is him there, a child under my care and the youngest of us all currently living on this planet, he pointed out. Right, cute little guy, Bulma nodded, but what's so special about him? Your Dragon Balls only give one wish, correct? Nail cut in. Bulma raised an eyebrow. She didn't understand what that had to do with anything, but nodded in affirmation anyway. That is why. Guru is sending Dend along with you when you return to Earth to strengthen the Dragon Balls there and allow you to gain 3 wishes from them. Bulma's eyes widened at what she heard and a broad grin spread across her face. that's amazing," she gushed happily, spinning backwards in the air due to her excitement. "We'll be able to get so much more done with 3 wishes if anything crazy happens." Bulma cut herself off as the sky darkened and the air itself began to vibrate. The ground rumbled as a massive earthquake swept through the planet and the mountains all around began to crack. Thunder boomed and lightning sparked into existence, the planet around them looking for all intents and purposes as if it was going through a world-ending apocalypse. Her scouter burst into life, automatically reading a sudden surge of massive power. A very familiar power of 107,411,360 beginning to rapidly ascend upwards at such speeds. For a moment she thought, even with all the time she'd spent upgrading the scouter mechanics, that it was going to break down and explode. "What the hell is he doing?" Bulma screamed as she was jostled through the air without control due to the massive wind current being forced into existence. "Did you know, Bulma?" Mori spoke up, somehow standing perfectly fine even with the ground threatening to open up and swallow him whole and many of his brethren shouting or screaming shock and fear. There are some races that can go through species transformations to increase their power massively. Bulma's eyes went as wide as they could in realization and struck her. "He's trying to turn into the giant monkey thing," she screamed. She remembered how horrifying it was when Goku transformed back in the day. He was absolutely terrifying. Even Rashi couldn't touch him and Kakarot was so much stronger than the Goku of then it wasn't even funny. Close, that is what is known as the Oozura form, something all Scions who have their tails can accomplish. Mori shook his head. Scions are a special race though, they have another transformation that is known throughout the universe as legendary and unbeatable. It is known as the Super Saiyan. Guru believes Kakarot is strong enough and has what it takes to become the first in 1,000 years, Nail added, standing calmly with his arms crossed behind his back and staring coolly in the direction Kakarot had left with Guru following behind him. Evidently he was correct. Still, Super Saiyan are known as unbeatable fighters, but I never believed the power of one was this amazing, Mori noted. Kakarot may very well be the strongest being in the entire universe now. Strongest in the universe? Bulma looked at the number staring back at her from the scouter, over 5 billion. King Piccolo had once conquered the Earth with a battle power much lower than 1,500. She could very well believe it. Well, she once thought of wishing for the perfect boyfriend. The strongest boyfriend might actually be a much better alternative. Being a Super Saiyan was like nothing I'd ever felt before. It was beyond even what I'd imagined. I felt, in a word, unstoppable. There was a boundless confidence within me. And honestly, I wish Frisia or even Bu were here right now so I could show them just how amazing I am. I'd crush them. The golden radiance enhancing my ki burned through my reserves rapidly even without me actively using it. But there was no cause for concern. Everything it drew from me was actively refilled a moment later. It was honestly a bit of a weird feeling, to feel my ki reserves instantly fill back up, but not at all an unwelcome one. For a moment, I was very tempted to use the Ultra form and the 4 Witches form and see just how strong I could get. But I could do the math easily enough, and I should hit over 9 billion. But there isn't any point beyond luxuriating in the sheer weighty girth of my own power. Really, it'd be like masturbating by flaring my power as high as it possibly could go. But as much as I really wanted to, there's no point. There's nobody here, or anywhere really beyond Beerus and Whis that could fight me at all. And I don't want to cause much more damage to Namek either now that I think about it. I took a long shuddering breath and rained the raging aura of gold power around me. It took a few moments, and my power felt like a raging, bucking beast lashing out and resisting me every step of the way. It took more effort than I cared to admit to keep my aura tightly compressed and coiled within my body, and even then it felt like it would explode out of me at the slightest cease in concentration. I didn't pull the golden light and my ki apart though. I wanted to get used to being a Super Saiyan as much as possible. The more I learned to control my strength in this form, the easier it would become to master. With that taken care of, I turned around to face Guru and blinked, my mouth dropping open a bit widely. Guru was standing behind me still, and still had his barrier conjured to protect him from my raging power. But he stood within the depths of a crater at least 20 feet deep, and he towered up above it even then. In fact, he was far bigger than usual. Absolutely gargantuan, a good 100 feet tall if not bigger, his already muscular form much bulkier and an extra set of power, thickly muscled arms joining his original two and holding the barrier he had around his body. Absently, I clicked the scan button on my scouter. 107,053,195. Only a few 100,000 off of being as strong as my base form. I couldn't help it, I burst into laughter. Namek probably wouldn't even need me now if Frisia was at full power with this. Especially considering Guru's magic, the fact that Frisia had shitty control over his own power and Guru had the Namekian regeneration. The barrier rippled and disappeared from existence and before my eyes, even as I laughed in ear-ringing amusement. Guru shrunk down to his normal form bit by bit and his extra arms disappearing. You seem to be in good spirits after your transformation, Guru noted, walking up out of the crater towards me. Yeah, I feel really good, I nodded after my laughter ended, wiping a tear of mirth from my eye. It's intense as all hell and everything feels dialed up to 11, but I've never felt better. Good to hear, Guru smiled. He took a long considering glance across my form, his eyes paying particularly close attention to my hair. I couldn't tell what it looked like right now, but I'm interested to see later. Your power has grown beyond my wildest expectations. I knew objectively from the memories I saw that the transformation was incredibly powerful, but it is another thing entirely to feel it truly happen in person. Yeah, it's intense, I agreed. I'm probably gonna need to spend a few days out in the middle of nowhere getting my control over it up to snuff. Indeed, though that shouldn't be a problem, there is plenty of space on this planet with how low my people's numbers are right now. The massive Namekian elder gestured to the wide open world of island, mountains and ocean, though I dare say thanks to your efforts, I will be able to work on that. With my youth restored, I will be able to bring more Namekian children into the world. That was very good news. And not only because I liked the Namekians, but also because they are a very talented and strong race and would go a long way to increasing the mortal level of this universe. Before you decide on any plans and shoot off to put them in motion, Guru spoke up again before I could, his lips pulling up in amusement as he commented on my tendency to rush into things when I think of them, which I've been doing a lot lately. I have something to give you. It is something that I believe will be a big help to you in your future endeavors, something I made with the help of all of my children of the Dragon Clan. Oh? I raised what was sure to be a very sexy golden blonde eyebrow at him, my interest piqued. Guru lifted one of his hands and a black sphere glittering with prismatic light formed into existence above his palm in the air. It rippled and the colors spread across the black sphere, filling it up, forming into a portal? Within it, I could see what looked to be a large flat island covered in nothing but bluegrass, floating in the middle of an almost ocean of water. A single Namekian island? My second eyebrow joined the first, and I looked from it to Guru, confused. What's this for then? I asked. From your memories, I saw and was intrigued by the dimensional space you called the hyperbolic time chamber, and while pondering on it, I thought of the wishes you made to Purunga yesterday and an idea came to mind. Guru grinned broadly, proudly even. The tree of might does not specifically need a planet to grow, no? It just needs a space large enough and sufficient life energy. He lifted his free hand and pointed it at me, his grin widening. I and my children created this dimensional space, the same kind that works as the base of the hyperbolic time chamber to my knowledge, Guru continued. It has well enough space within to rival a small planet, and you yourself have access to infinite ki now, do you not? And what is ki, but life force itself? Wait, you can do that? I gaped at him, and for a moment my control slipped, my aura sparking into existence harshly and making the area for miles around rumble before I quashed it once again. Guru laughed broadly. A simple matter in comparison to the Dragon Balls, my young friend, he replied. All that is needed now is for me to pass the ownership of the space to you by connecting it to your very ki and tying it to you and then plant the seed within it. You will not need to worry at all about going to different planets to nurture the seed and grow fruit. You can simply nurture it yourself constantly. This is beyond words. Amazing doesn't even begin to describe it. He's created in gifting me what amounts to a dimensional storage space that will passively grow fruit from the tree of might. Namekians are the fucking best, man. You've got to be kidding me. Trunks deadpanned, staring into the displayed footage with eyes reminiscent of a fish. Even the lustrous teal jades of his Super Saiyan form would be unable to mask the dead look in his eyes. That's one way to go about it, I suppose, Elder Kai snorted. before a massive grin spread across his face. Oh, the Beerus of that timeline is screwed. I'm actually really eager to watch this timeline continue now. It really is interesting how quickly the mortal world can change. Kranoa hummed. Her eyes were settled on the young scion teenager, hair glowing gold as he hugged one of Guru's arms happily while they stood at the foot of a gargantuan tree that rose dozens of miles into the air and kept growing higher and higher with every second. She tapped her chin as she thought on what she was seeing. The true linchpin for the massive early change in this timeline seemed to come from Kakarote's knowledge of things he should not know of. Regeneration wasn't that suspicious, really it was just a very smart wish all said and done. But Gero's infinite key generator and the Tree of Might. Kakarote should have been years away from learning of both of them, if ever. The timestills ended up reaching Earth were few and far between after all. Future knowledge. That seemed to be where it came from. It didn't make sense to her though. Something about him having that knowledge seemed off to her. With how subtle whoever planned for his birth and caused this to happen was being, this kind of blatant change just didn't seem to fit. Perhaps, it was something about Kakarote himself that caused the knowledge? He was created through magic at first and then given life through the Dragon Balls. Magic could create weird things like that. It wasn't beyond the realm of possibility to her that he somehow gained the ability to see the future because of the odd circumstances behind his birth. After all, there used to be a race within Universe 7 that had the inborn ability to see the future. They were exterminated by the Scions on the orders of Frisia, who wanted that power since they had the ability to pass it on. The last holder of the power after the species went extinct would have been Bardock. Kranoa's eyes widened. Bardock lost the power when he ended up getting thrown back in time, she realized. The power was passed on through thought. Bardock, when he thought he was going to die and went back through time, his thoughts were on Kakarote. But, around that time was when Goku arrived on Earth and subsequently lost his memories of being Kakarote. Did this new Kakarote inherit Bardock's precognitive power? That has to be it. It makes so much sense, she concluded. No wonder he was so crazily trying to get stronger. At that point in time, nobody from the Z-Fighters, the name coined by many a fan of the Defenders of Earth, would know anything about Frisia. All they should know about was Vegeta and Nappa, and the most they had to go on was one of them being 10 times stronger than Raditz. But Kakarote, after taking the Ultra-Divine Water, and with his power-boosting forms learned from Tien Shinhan and Master Roshi, he would be well stronger than the estimated 15,000 battle power that would be 10 times Raditz. But he hadn't been content with that. He'd gone into the hyperbolic time chamber and came out more than twice as strong, only to then have Tien Shinhan destroy his stomach and internal organs and eat a Senzu bean to abuse the Scion Zenkai ability. He must have seen Frisia, perhaps maybe even Cell, or Bu, possibly even Beerus in his future. Her tapping transitioned into stroking her chin as she peered at the image of the boy. "You're a real go-getter, huh?" she mused internally. It was maybe inappropriate, but she admired the way he'd throw himself so thoroughly and earnestly into getting stronger to deal with the threats he must have seen and known just how dangerous they were. His will to outright have his body blown to pieces, and his ability to plan what he needed to do was simply inspiring. The wishes he chose were practically genius as well. The regeneration to abuse his species' natural trait as he pleased. The infinite key generator to never worry about running out of it and having a much easier time of mastering the Super Saiyan forms and the Tree of Might itself. And even more than that, the foresight to use the fruit from the Tree of Might to restore Guru's youth. She'd never seen a timeline like this before. Guru, in every other time before, was able to make some contributions, but in the end was too old to do much else. But, as far as magic users go, Guru was perhaps one of the best in the history of Universe 7. He surpassed Bibidi and Babidi and was perhaps a match even for Maro the Devourer. With Kakarote with his prophetic visions and tactile genius combined with Guru's wisdom and prodigious magic abilities, that timeline was well on its way to surpassing the strength of all the others. Even right now, with his Ultra form and 4 Witches form, if he stacked them on top of his Super Saiyan form, which he should be able to do easily thanks to the infinite key generator, he would only be a little bit weaker than Majin Bu. And honestly, with his skill and mental capabilities alongside his infinite key and regeneration, she was sure Kakarote would be the one to take the win more often than not if they were to suddenly meet and fight right now. Really, give them a goal to accomplish and scions are incredibly reliable. Kranoa giggled lightly. Honestly, her opinion of him was probably helped by how cute he was. There was just something about a morally righteous scion tapping into their more primal instincts and abilities that was fascinating to her. She wouldn't mind a night alone with him, that was for sure. It had been a long, long time since she'd been with a man. Millions of years even. She'd been tempted to try with Trunks. He was handsome, strong, reliable, endearing and more himself. But he just wasn't her type in the end, he was a bit too much of a dork. Really, the best applicant she'd seen in a long while had been Bardock, but he was already married and incredibly loyal to his wife Jine. But Kakarot? He hit all of her buttons, more so than even Bardock had. And if that little private time they'd saw of him and Bulma together on their way to Namek was anything to go by, she'd have a very fulfilling night ahead of her. Chapter 12. Guru is awesome. There is no denying it, no two ways about it. He's just that fucking amazing. With what he's given me, I could be a human and I'd still be capable of reaching the point I want to in the end. Being a scion? Guru basically just handed me a big sign saying you win. A dimensional subspace that may as well be a world of its own. Already fitted with a big-ass island and a small ocean while at it. A place I could enter as I pleased with just a thought. A place where I could reach in and touch any place within it with a passing idea. A world wholly tied to me, connected to my very key to nurture it and give it life. The perfect place to grow a tree of might. All I'd needed to do was set the seed that I received from the wish I made on Purunga on the island Guru had graciously already set within the subspace and with the dimension itself connected to me and my infinite key generator through me, a massive gargantuan tree thousands of miles tall grew from the island and pierced into the sky. It was an awe-inspiring sight to say the least. I'd hugged Guru so hard and tightly he'd had to use the 4 witches form that he'd learned from reading my memories to grow an extra 2 massive muscular arms to pry me off. 24. That was how many fruit the tree of might I had could grow per day. According to Guru, those 24 had easily as much life force as planet Namek itself topped into them. Due to my infinite key generator, I could easily output the entire life force of a planet, in a single day, and feel little to nothing from it. I'm so fucking glad the guy whose memories I got went through a spree of watching what if videos about Dragon Ball Z on YouTube and got the idea to obtain an infinite key generator from one of Masako X's ideas. I've spent a week in here after deciding to try and master my Super Saiyan form since receiving this amazing gift from Guru, and just from eating the fruit produced in those 7 days, increased my battle power from them alone by just over 3 million. I've literally grown a bit stronger than Goku from the canon Namek saga, just by eating some fruit a week. Work smarter, not harder was definitely something I could get behind these days. Sounds like thunder boomed from above and building destroying shock waves tore through the air as golden light dyed sky in its hue. Sitting not far away from me, Den flinched at the collision of my 2 clones fighting in far up in the air above. He'd come along with Bulma after me and Guru were gone. Apparently, Guru had upon unlocking his potential also passed on the knowledge how to use the potential unlock spell he had created. Guru had confided in me, that on Earth Den had made quite something of himself. And he hoped to attain such a status for his current youngest child again with my help, while at the same time being a massive help to my quest to protect the universe and raise the mortal level so that Xeno doesn't erase us. You all right there, little green? I asked him from where I lay, my head resting comfortably on Bulma's luscious thighs. I'm fine, I'm just still getting used to such strong power colliding nearby, Den replied softly, flashing a slightly uncomfortable smile my way. Though, can I ask why you keep calling me that? Just a little nickname since you're small and green, I waved him off with some amusement. If you work hard, you might be Super Kami Den one day. A fist thumped me on the head admonishingly. It was lucky I was still in my Super Saiyan form, or with my power third of its usual amount in the base form. That would actually hurt a bit considering how strong the person that fist belongs to now is. Don't tease Den like that. Bulma told me, looking down at me from where she was fiddling with her scouter. He's still new to the kind of ribbing jokes from Earth. He might think you're actually bullying him. Make him feel bad and you'll be sleeping on the couch. There's 3 beds in the ship though. I protested, pointing to where the ship was a few dozen feet away besides one of the gargantuan roots of the Tree of Might. Since Bulma decided to follow me in here and brought Den along with her, I brought the spaceship in while we were at it. Honestly, this place is hella convenient like that. It basically doubles as an inventory as far as I'm concerned. An ever-growing one as well, because I'm pretty sure that the island has expanded since that first day by quite a bit. No idea how either. Maybe just an effect of the abundant ki pass through into this dimension? And I'll just push two together to give me more space, and the third is for Den obviously. Bulma stuck her tongue out at me smugly. If Den wasn't here, I'd shoot up and catch it between my lips, see how smug she'd be then. It's alright, Miss Bulma. Den lifted his small green hands up facing us, trying to calm her down. I know he's only joking. See, Den's cool. I smirked up at her. When she just rolled her eyes and went back to what she was doing, I let my smirk grow with the taste of victory. I reached into the air, and with a thought a portal formed over my palm, allowing me to reaching into it and grab one of the fruit growing above. The newest batch had finished a few hours ago. I could just fly up above and grab one, but fuck that, I'm comfy here. Here, have a bite, Den, I said when I pulled my arm back, a spiky orange fruit held within my hand, and tossed it to the young Namekian child. Welcome to Team Kakarot. Thank you? Den bowed his head politely to me after catching the fruit, and only after that did he raise the fruit to his mouth and begin eating it. Like all first-timers, he completely lost control and let it all burst out. His aura of ki, that is. Oh wow, this is delicious. There's more where that came from, kid, I replied, flashing him a thumbs up. If you want some more, just let me know, alright? Den smiled at me through a mouthful of fruit, but as he made to respond, well now, you're certainly having fun, aren't you? A crisp and smoothly amused voice rang out from behind us. One I did not recognize at all. I didn't sense anything at all. I jerked up from Bulma's lap to look behind us while she and Den yelped together at the sudden voice that came out of nowhere. My eyes widened when I saw who it was. A tall muscular youth with light purple skin and white hair, a pair of black round spectacles framing his eyes. And as I did, I suddenly sensed it just appearing as if it had always been there all along. His power. It was massive, so large that I couldn't sense an end to it. With a thought, I dismissed my two clones and I was exploding forward at my top speed, my musculature bulking up and a second set of arms growing from my shoulder blades. In what was almost an instant, I was lashing out with 4 punches, each capable of most likely tearing Frisia's head from his body. And just as suddenly, I was flying backwards at a tremendous speed, blood spewing from my mouth and my body throbbing with so much pain I was delirious for a moment. I flew back miles, slamming into the ocean and sending gargantuan tidal waves blasting in opposite directions from where I impacted. What the hell? I muttered in wide-eyed shock from where I lay floating in the ocean water. My arms, all 4 of them, were mangled and bent in opposite directions, as were my legs, and it felt like all my organs were crushed. You actually survived that, Fu commented as he suddenly appeared above me, a genial smile on his lips while he stared down at me, crimson red eyes filled with keen interest. That wish you made for regeneration is quite something. Heck, you've already mostly recovered. Splendid. Exactly as he said, in mere seconds the pain faded and my mangled bones and organs knit themselves together, while I felt my strength grow, my ki bubbling with even greater power within me. The thought to was him what the hell he was doing here crossed my mind. But it was drowned out by body-shaking rage. Solar flare. I roared, lifting my hands to my face and creating a massive burst of blinding light. I shot into the air and cupped my hands together, all 4 of them. Blue burst into existence and quickly transitioned into an angry sparking crimson red as I channeled all of my ki into the sphere of energy between my hands. I could afford to with my infinite ki generator. It bucked in my hands and the sheer density of the energy cup between my forepalms felt like I was keeping a planet aloft, 100 times Kamehameha. I thrust out all 4 arms towards where he was a moment later, one arm over his eyes. I made sure to aim diagonally upwards as I unleashed the crackling crimson red sphere of energy in a massive beam of galaxy-shaking power. It roared over Fu and blotted out everything within my field of vision, and then I pumped my suddenly refilled reserves of ki into it all over again, keeping the beam going on and on. I kept it going for an entire minute before I lowered my arms, panting deeply. TCH. I scowled, clicking my tongue when the wave of red disappeared to show Fu standing there in the air, no worse for wear, one hand raised up into the air where he'd been blocking my attack. The only signs of damage being a light burn mark on his hand that disappeared almost an instant later. My, not bad, Fu chuckled, and really you don't play around at all, huh? Poor Majin Bu would have very hard time surviving that. As expected, if he could be stopped by a guy like me right now so easily, he wouldn't have been that big a deal in the first place. What else have you got? The purple-skinned demon god asked, his eyes shining with interest as he regarded me. I've got nothing actually. There's nothing I have that can touch this dude. Even if I go full Dragon Fist with both Shinran and Purunga, I doubt I'll even scratch him. Well, there is one chance. I didn't want to try this out at all until I was at a place it wouldn't matter or if there was something strong enough to rein me in. But, it may be my only option if I don't want to end up ganked and put under that crazy dark energy thing that he and his family put everyone under during Xenoverse. I filtered an obscene amount of ki into my right palm, creating a huge power ball and overcharged it to create as many and as powerful Blutz waves as I could, burst open in the dash I made to toss it into the air. Oh, Fu shook his head and suddenly before I could even blink he was in front of me and I gagged as his fist was buried in my stomach. Once again I felt my organs get pulped and my ribs shattered. To think you know about that as well, huh? It'll be no fun though if you go for Super Saiyan for this early, he commented as grasped my hand with the power ball within it with his other hand not buried in my stomach, and tore it right off at the shoulder with a simple pull. Raya! I screamed in agony as a fountain of blood erupted from my now gaping shoulder. Fuck you. I spat a massive crimson-red mouth energy blast, but his eyes flashed and the beam suddenly changed directions the split moment it left my mouth and shot up into the air before it could even travel the few inches between us. Really, there's no need to be rude about it, he sighed, and then my jaw and my neck splintered and broke as he backhanded me with my own arm and sent me flying once again. I think I'll keep this to run some tests on. I heard him comment idly as he looked over my bloodied and missing appendage in his grasp. That was the last I saw before I blacked out. And a few moments later, I gasped awake at the feeling of water invading my limbs. I was deep underwater and sinking fast. I flared my golden aura around me and shot up like a rocket, splitting the ocean apart and getting into the sky, hacking, coughing and splutters to dispel the water from my lungs. The only solace was the pain was gone and my body whole and fully healed once again. Are you ready to talk now? The voice of Fu asked from behind me. I glared over my shoulder at him to find him sitting cross-legged in the air and just observing me with that small smile still on his face. It took all my self-control not to try and slice him in half with a Destructo disc. Fuck, what a time to not fucking have something to use as containment for the Mafuba. I growled internally. But, I never thought someone like this would fucking pop up this early. Hell, I never expected to ever run into this guy. What the hell do you want, Fu? I snarled, my forehands curling into tight fists as my mind raced to come up with a plan. Maybe try the electric Kamehameha I'd been working on? Unlikely it would do much damage, but the electricity may stun him long enough for me to do something. Oh, so you know me? His eyes positively gleamed. Those precognitive vision you inherited from Bardock must really be something. What the hell is he on about? You know, when I put those little thoughts in Cammy's head to bring you to life with the Dragon Balls, I had no idea things would spiral this much. He clapped his hands excitedly as he beamed at me. It never occurred to me that you could possibly inherit Bardock's ability to see into the future. Goku never did after all. Why the fuck does he think I got those? Did Father even get those in the Super Timeline? No, wait, backtrack. Did he just say he's the reason Cammy made that wish to Shinran and brought me to life? I expected you to change the timeline up a bit. After all, two Gokus would surely make things a party, Fu continued on, unperturbed by my racing thoughts, but this is beyond my wildest expectations. The amount of time break energy I got thanks to you in the past few weeks has been amazing, and the show you've given to me watch has just been superb. You're the reason I'm alive? I asked, scowling at him. HM? Why, yes I am, Fu confirmed happily, before waving his hand, though, no need to thank me. You've paid off whatever debt you could have possibly gotten from that 10 times over easily with the amount of energy your actions created by completely throwing the rails of this timeline completely off the track. As much as I wanted to tell him to slit his throat, I couldn't deny that I was grateful now for this life. Doesn't mean I'm not going to show him what oblivion tastes like. Whatever, just tell me what you want. I demanded, my hands twitching with the urge to start flinging ki blasts his way. You don't get it? Fu looked at me like I was stupid before shrugging his shoulders and sighing. It's simple really. Just look at all the changes you managed to make this early in the timeline. It got me thinking, just what kind of changes could you accomplish if I dropped you off in another timeline later down the line, like during the fight with Frisia or even with Cell? Think of the possibilities. Are you fucking crazy? I gaped at him. Fuck off, no seriously. I'll get my ass obliterated by the time patrol. Nah, don't worry about the sticks in the mud, Fu laughed, waving my concerns off as if they didn't have an army of races at their beck and call, an army filled with Frisia race, Super Scions, and who knows what else. See, I spent a few years during the month or so you've been alive sneaking into Canton City, and I managed sneakily hide a bunch of time scrolls in the shadows of this one's history. Any changes made will be hidden thanks to the crazy stuff you've caused in this timeline. What? A few years during the last month? And hid them in the shadow of this timeline? I don't get it at all. Like maybe the same way a brighter light would hide a lower one beneath or behind it maybe? Like so bright it drew all the attention and the others couldn't be noticed due to it? Wait, that doesn't fucking matter. Fuck off. I rejected everything he was saying. Way stronger than me or not, this fucking shithead isn't telling me what to do. I don't want to deal with any of that shit. All I need to do now is learn from the Yardrats and I can go back to Earth and relax all I want. Leia aim, this'll be way more fun. Fu rejected my rejection with a sing-song tone. Eat shit and die. I roared, lifting my forearms into the air above me. Golden light swirled together and darkened into a crackling black sphere dancing with green lightning. With a buzzing sound, the sphere grew to titanic proportions as big as a mountain, and then I filled it with more ki, and more, and more and more and more and more and more. I compressed and emptied my entire reserve of Super Saiyan enhanced ki over and over again until I was holding a massive roiling ki sphere of death that was probably approaching the size of a town. It was so big it made me and Fu both look like little ant-like specks in comparison. Death bomb. I shouted as I threw it towards him. Who fucking needs people to share their energy when I have infinite of it myself? But just as soon as I threw it, the titanic black sphere of death disappeared from existence in the blink of an eye. You've got to be fucking kidding me. I deadpanned. I wasn't even shocked really, this dude is just that bullshit. Fu laughed, his eyes glowing. Well, it's a good thing I can teleport things to time rifts. That one might have actually hurt if I didn't, he noted as he began to stand from his cross-legged sitting position and in one smooth motion unsheathed the sword hanging from the small of his back. I'm afraid though, Kakarot, your compliance isn't really a factor. He disappeared from my vision too quickly for me to track, and before I could even think to defend myself, pain assaulted me across the entirety of my body. With a glint of shining silver steel, my left arm alongside the two sprouting from my shoulder blades were severed clean off, quickly followed by my legs before an instant later what felt like the force of a dozen planets crashed into my chest, and for the third time in minutes my organs were shredded and my crushed. All I could do was roar in agony as I felt myself shooting through the air once again. Something shook heavily around me a moment later and I felt solid ground underneath my back for the first time since this began. Kakarot! I heard Bulma's voice scream in terror. Something surged within me and my rage grew to new heights. I opened up my eyes to find Fu pinning me to the bottom a crater on the island the Tree of Might was planted on, one foot planted on my chest keeping me down while he held my arm tightly between his own two and slipped a familiar silver ring onto my middle finger, where it immediately tightened and fastened around my skin. I had no limbs to attack back with. But that didn't fucking matter. This shithead made my Bulma scream like that, made her sound so scared he's fucking dead. Roaring, I pulled on the golden radiance within me more. I needed more. I dragged all I could, not just into my aura and ki but into my body itself. My brain, my eyes, my muscles, my hair. Everything was used as a conduit to bring out more power. My aura exploded into existence and I compressed and directed it, blasting it up at him with all the power I could muster in the form of a raging hurricane of golden power dancing with lightning. I saw him wince as a cut opened up on his cheek. Let me explain how this will work, he began, talking over my howling energy and ignoring the slices that were opening up all over his body. This is a time ring, but I've modified it a bit using magic. When I feel like it, it will take you to specific timelines I've loaded the coordinates in, and once there you won't be able to return to this timeline unless you've done something significantly impressive that will change the course of history like you've done here in this time, he explained. I was only listening with half an ear, however. Both because of the concentration I was focusing into using my super scion power to attack, and because I felt it as the mind-numbing pain of my body lessened and my limbs grew back. As he finished, I thrust my newly regrown left arm up, Crimson Key glittering dangerously and unleashing a full-powered energy blast. But just as I did, Fu smiled down at me and suddenly disappeared as if he was never there at all, allowing my beam to shoot up through the air and hit nothing at all. Fuck! I groaned, cutting my aura off and slumping back into the crater I found myself in. Kakarot, are you okay? Bulma jumped into the crater, then rushing in behind her, a terrified look on his small face. My vision swam. I should give him some more fruit so he's stronger and can protect himself better. I thought blearily. I felt like I was going to pass out. I'm fine. I made to assure them both regardless of how I felt, but as I was mid-reply a gentle bell-like chiming sound came from my right hand and I looked down to see the time ring on my middle finger beginning to glow. You've got to be fucking kidding me. I groaned, exhausted and defeated all at once. Kakarot battle power, 120,632,689. That wraps up this part of Reborn as a Goku clone. Thanks so much for listening. As always, new parts drop every 4 days, so be sure to stay tuned. Quick reminder. What If sign-in system and High School DxD will be going on hold soon, since we've nearly caught up with the author. So now, I need your help picking the next project for the channel. I'm currently deciding between these 3 fanfics. What If Gacha system and Modern Family World? What if Natsu has dual elements? What if Transmigrated in One Piece and becoming a Marine? Please vote in the poll and let me know which story you'd like to see next. I'll take the top pick and start working on that series next. Also check out my Patreon channel for early releases of all the series, where you can find all the series released one day ahead of YouTube. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and please consider supporting the original author as well. See you in the next one.